Hi, this is Greg Thomas, and welcome to the Welsh-American channel. Today we present another brief biography of little-known but significant American revolutionary of Welsh descent. We have already presented videos on many different revolutionaries of Welsh heritage who made the founding of the United States possible. Some of these include flag maker Betsy Ross, Martha Washington, wife of General George Washington, signers of the Declaration of Independence like Lewis Morris, William Floyd, Francis Lewis, Button Gwinnett, and others. Military generals like Daniel Morgan and John Cadwalader. The designer of the first 6 frigates of the United States, Joshua Humphreys. In this video, we continue our survey of influential Americans of Welsh descent by examining the life of Francis Nash. His name is woven into the fabric of American revolutionary history, and his legacy endures in the cities and counties that bear his name. But behind the battlefield heroics and political maneuvering was a man whose Welsh heritage shaped his values, ambitions, and sense of justice. Let's explore the life of Francis Nash, from his roots in Wales to his ultimate sacrifice for American independence. There are no known painted portraits or detailed sketches of Francis Nash himself from his lifetime or shortly thereafter. This absence is noted by historians and researchers who point out that Nash, despite his significance as a brigadier general and namesake of Nashville, does not have a surviving portrait. However, a rare and newly discovered eyewitness sketch from August 25, 1777, does depict the North Carolina Brigade of the Continental Army as it marched through Philadelphia under Nash's command. This pen and ink drawing, created by a Swiss-born artist, is the first known wartime depiction of North Carolina troops and their camp followers. The sketch shows soldiers, a commissioned officer, a wagoner, and women with children traveling in a brigade wagon, though it does not specifically portray Nash himself. However, a painting of his older brother Abner Nash does exist. Abner was the second governor of North Carolina from April of 1780 until June of 1781. Francis Nash was born around 1742 in Amelia County, Virginia, in a region that would later become Prince Edward County. While some family and genealogical records claim Francis Nash was born on May 10, 1740, the consensus among major historical references is that his birth occurred around 1742 in Amelia County, Virginia. There is no universally accepted exact birth date, but circa 1742 is the date most often recognized by historians. His parents, John Nash and Anne Owen Nash, were both natives of Tenby, Pembrokeshire, Wales, and had immigrated to Virginia between 1725 and 1730. The Nash family's Welsh identity was strong. Several of Francis's siblings, including his older brother Thomas, were born in Wales before the family crossed the Atlantic. This heritage was not just a matter of birthplace. It influenced the family's values, their sense of community, and their approach to public life. The Nashes were part of a wave of Welsh emigration to the American colonies in the 18th century, seeking opportunity and religious freedom. John Nash purchased a substantial tract of land, about 5,000 acres, at the confluence of the Appomattox and Bush Rivers near present-day Farmville, Virginia. The Nash household was large and lively, with Francis growing up among at least 7 siblings, including his brother Abner, who also would become a prominent statesman in North Carolina. By 1763, Francis and his brother Abner had moved south to modern-day Hillsborough, North Carolina. The move was typical of ambitious young men of the era, seeking new opportunities on the expanding frontier. Hillsborough was a bustling town, and the Nash brothers quickly established themselves as leading citizens. Francis set up a law practice and became the clerk of court in 1763. a prestigious and lucrative position that paid an annual stipend of 100 pounds sterling. The brothers also invested in local businesses, including a store and a mill on the Eno River, further cementing their status as pillars of the community. Francis's Welsh upbringing likely influenced his sense of justice and fair dealing. The Welsh tradition of the law of Hywel the Good emphasized fairness, mediation, and the importance of community consensus, values that would later surface in Nash's political and military career. These principles were a system of laws that were practiced in medieval Wales before its conquest by England. Nash's political career began in earnest when he represented Orange County in the North Carolina Assembly from 1764 to 1765. He quickly became known as a capable lawyer and a shrewd public official. But the region was simmering with unrest. The so-called regulator movement was a populist uprising of backcountry farmers and gained momentum fueled by grievances over corrupt officials and unfair taxation. In 1771, Nash found himself on the opposite side of the regulators, serving as a captain in the militia under Royal Governor William Tryon at the Battle of Alamance. The battle was a turning point for Nash. Though he fought bravely against the regulators, he was deeply affected by the aftermath. The king's governor hanged one of the rebels near the battlefield and executed several more in Hillsborough without a trial. This experience, which exposed the harshness of royal authority, would forever change Nash's worldview and nudge him toward the patriot cause. In 1770, Nash married Sarah Moore, the daughter of colonial jurist Maurice Moore and the niece of James Moore, a prominent figure in North Carolina politics. Sarah's family was influential. Her brother, Alfred Moore, would later become a U.S. Supreme Court justice. The marriage produced two daughters, Anne, who died young, and Sarah, who later married John Waddell, connecting the Nash family to other prominent North Carolina lineages. Nash's personal life was not without controversy. He fathered two children out of wedlock, one of whom, also named Francis Nash, was possibly born in 1770 or 1771 to Ruth Jackson, a barmaid in Hillsborough. Nash provided Jackson with property and financial support, ensuring some measure of security for his illegitimate child. Unfortunately, at this time in history, slavery was a universal institution on virtually every continent. Nash, as a member of the North Carolina planter class, likely owned slaves, as this was common among men of his status in colonial North Carolina. However, there appears to be no direct documentation of any slaves, so the exact number remains unclear. As tensions with Britain escalated, Nash's political involvement deepened. He served as a delegate to the first three Patriot provincial congresses in North Carolina, where grievances against King George III were hotly debated. Nash's Welsh background, with its long history of resistance to English domination, may have made him especially receptive to the Patriot cause. In September 1775, Nash was appointed lieutenant colonel in the 1st Regiment of North Carolina Continental Troops. He quickly gained experience commanding others under the direction of Colonel James Moore, particularly during the defense of Charleston in 1776. When Moore died in early 1777, Nash was promoted to Brigadier General and given command of the North Carolina Brigade of the Continental Army under General George Washington. Nash's leadership was soon put to the test. After recruiting and training his men in North Carolina, he marched 9 regiments, about 2,000 soldiers, north to join Washington's army in Philadelphia. He arrived just in time to participate in the first 4th of July celebration, a moment that must have been especially emotional for a man who had witnessed both the abuses of royal authority and the hope of a new nation. Nash led his troops at the Battle of Brandywine Creek and then at Germantown, both crucial engagements in the defense of Philadelphia. At Germantown, on October 4, 1777, Nash was marching his troops behind Washington's caravan when a 6-pound cannonball burst through the smoke and fog, striking Nash's horse in the neck and crushing his thigh. Both Nash and his horse fell, the general pinned beneath the animal's body. Nash may have also been blinded by a musket ball that struck him in the head. Author and patriot Thomas Paine, who saw him taken off the battlefield, later stated that Nash's wounds had made him unrecognizable. Despite the severity of his wounds, Nash was carried from the field and treated at a nearby home. Nash was treated by George Washington's personal physician, who could not stem his bleeding, which was reported to have fully soaked through 2 mattresses. His final words are reputed to have been, "From the first dawn of the Revolution, I have been ever on the side of liberty and my country." He died 3 days after being wounded on October 7, 1777, at the age of 34 or 35. Nash was one of only 10 Patriot generals to die from wounds received in combat during the Revolutionary War. He was buried at a local Mennonite meeting house cemetery, and his death was mourned as a great loss to the Patriot cause. A friend described him as one of the most enlightened, liberal, and magnanimous gentlemen that ever sacrificed his life for his country. The Welsh-American spirit and legacy of Francis Nash lives on in the places that bear his name: Nashville, Tennessee, Nashville, North Carolina, and Nash County, North Carolina, among others. These honors reflect not only his military achievements, but also the respect he commanded as a leader and public servant. His Welsh heritage was an integral part of his identity. The Nashes brought with them from Pembrokeshire a sense of independence, a commitment to justice, and a willingness to stand up to authority, traits that would serve Francis well in the tumultuous years of the American Revolution. These qualities made him a formidable leader in times of peace and war, and they continue to inspire those who honor his memory today. Francis was not the only influential member of the Nash family. As mentioned earlier, his older brother Abner was the second governor of North Carolina from April of 1780 until June of 1781. He was also a delegate to the Continental Congress. He died at age 46 during a session in New York City. Abner's son, Frederick Nash, was also a lawyer and political leader. He would serve as Chief Justice of the North Carolina Supreme Court. Another descendant, Frederick, would later become a famous poet by his middle name, Ogden Nash. The Nash family story is not just that of American patriots. It is the story of Welsh Americans whose legacy bridges 2 worlds and whose personal sacrifices helped forge a new nation.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel or give us a like, and please feel free to make any comments below. If you would like to see more biographies of leading Welsh Americans, give us a like. And if you have an individual you would like us to showcase, let me know in the comments section below. This is Greg Thomas saying Hoylem Nower. Bye for now.